Ekaterina Zagladina. Since 2006, she has been the president of the Secretariat of the World Summit of Nobel Peace Laureates. Practicing lawyer, she has worked in leading law firms both in Russia and Europe, holds a degree in international law, linguistics and interpretation from Lomonosov Moscow State University, lives in Paris, speaks Russian, English, Italian, French, and Spanish.
Good afternoon, Ekaterina. I'm really glad to see you here in Moscow. I'm glad that you have found the time for us for this interview. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the invite.
The World Summit of Nobel Peace Laureates and a permanent secretariat under it. What does your organization do and when was it formed?
Our organization was formed at Mikhail Gorbachev's initiative in 1999. The organization was also supported by the business community in Italy and the mayor of Rome, Francesco Rutelli. In the first 5 years, the summit itself was mainly held in Rome. From 1999 to 2006, there were 5 summits. It can be said that Mikhail Gorbachev's initiative itself was supported by the Nobel Peace Laureate community, as well as by the public, the business community, and the municipality of Rome. It was his personal initiative, insofar as he too received the Nobel Peace Prize and did various world figures. He actually breathed life into the creation of this organization and the summit platform, and given his authority in international circles, it was possible to organize the summit itself. When we began to organize summits in various parts of the world, the resonance was mainly in the country where the summit was organized, because each summit has more of a local focus. Since we come at the invitation of mainly local authorities, municipalities, sometimes states and governors, regional issues and being dealt with. So I can't say anything yet in general about what the reaction or resonance has been in Russia.
So you don't get to choose the next country or city, but rather you are chosen.
In fact, it goes like this. We sometimes see that there is an interesting direction. We can approach a city or a region ourselves and purpose holding a summit. But this sometimes happens because we see that, for example, some interesting initiative is emerging there. Sometimes the region of the city itself approaches us, and in the case, we look at the level of interest and at the concept that is being proposed at the level of organization in the region or the city. Basically, we also look at the interest itself, the level of interest of the community, the government, or the municipality.
Can you share how many summits have already been held and in which cities?
There have been 17 summits in Rome, Warsaw, Hiroshima, Chicago, Paris, Berlin, Bogota, in the state of Yucatan in Mexico. A summit was also planned for Seoul in 2020, but unfortunately, it did not take place.
What does hosting the summit mean for the cities involved?
A region or city that invites the summit actually gets the opportunity to invite the global community to discuss certain topics of interest to the region. In this case, we are talking about the fact that the region is not only represented by some political circles, it is represented by the business community, represented by the academic community, and just by civil society. There are different interests, from gaining experience, knowledge, how these or those issues related to building people's peaceful coexistence. When we talk about peace, we understand it in a broad sense. Peace includes environmental issues, human and civil rights, sustainable development, children's rights, issues of conflict resolution through dialogue. And as you understand, Nobel Peace Laureates are actually living history books, who these people have come a long way. We are not discussing or evaluating their achievements politically or economically, but we are looking at how and in what way this or that issue of peace was dealt with. Whether it is the issue of poverty, conflict resolution, protection of children's rights.
Do any results follow on from the summit? Do the authorities get to work, or do you come back after some time? Maybe to check it out?
We know from feedback from municipalities, states, and also from summit participants that, generally speaking, initiatives were born, partnerships were born that benefited them in solving certain regional tasks or inter-institutional tasks. We also keep track of what is going on in our partner environment, the universities, if some projects have been created. But we do not keep track of the extent to which these projects have been implemented or completed. We know of examples of socially oriented projects which have emerged after student visits to summits. There are some amazing examples. For instance, in Colombia, when the Nobel Peace Prize winner Kailash Satyarthi from India spoke at the summit and said that even in times of conflict, even during tragic events, it is necessary to show humanity to all parties involved. And as you know, there was a civil war in Colombia for about 50 years. The result of this war was the signing of the peace agreement in 2016. And when we were invited to Colombia to host the summit, we realized that it was a unique opportunity to help people to gain experience of the international community. And not a fictional experience, not an artificial one, but a living experience on how peace can be built, how issues of peace can be resolved. Again, issues of poverty, issues of children's rights, conflict resolution, and in the context. For example, we had a huge number of initiatives from students and civil society related to socially oriented issues. And one of the students got inspired by the words by Kailash Satyarthi and wrote 7,000 letters to the rebels with words of reconciliation. The sheer number of 7,000 tells you how important it was for that young man to do that. How inspired he was by the words and approach to the Nobel Peace Laureate.
Well, as I understand, young people take an active part in your actions and activities. Are there any techniques or examples, like how do you engage them, or they wish to work with you, like for themselves?
We do not have direct interaction with students. We have partner universities with whom we have established partnerships. We always invite partner universities to take part in summits. We can also, for instance, offer to take part in the activities by international organizations we have contacts with. There was an event in Urge where UNESCO invited several universities we have partnership agreements with. And we are pleased that the universities decided to send students there. It is up to the universities to decide. I think that in this case, we just help to broaden the horizons for the students of our partner universities. Our partners are mainly from Latin America, Mexico, a large number of universities from Mexico, Colombia. Now we are also talking to some universities, Peru, in Argentina. There are also universities in India, and we have even involved some universities from South Africa. Also from an event in Urge. The coverage is quite large.
Well, you mentioned the UN and UNESCO. What other international organizations do you cooperate with, if any?
Yes, of course. There are a huge number of organizations that have won the Nobel Peace Prize. The UN, the Red Cross, the International Labour Organization, and we are glad when students come to the summit to get first-hand information about these organizations. Sometimes it's because students would like to work as volunteers or build a career in international organizations. And in this case, they have the opportunity to interact live, to get first-hand information. And it is possible that they become volunteers or made a career in international organizations. We even had, I think, some examples.
Well, even though you said that you have a rather small organization, I understand that you bring together different people from different parts of the world, speaking different languages. Tell us a little bit about the structure of your organization. How does it interact? How do the people who work there interact with each other if they live in different countries?
Well, the pandemic experience, for example, showed that it is possible to work remotely. We had that experience from the very beginning because we understood that the summit participants live in different countries. We realized that we also did not have one location with an office. This is actually like a principle of remote co-working. And we just attracted people, not attracted but welcomed into our family. People who were interested in the Secretariat's activities and willing to help. This happened gradually over many years. The Secretariat was very small in the beginning. Of course, we received tremendous support from volunteers from Italy initially. Then colleagues also joined us from Colombia, from Mexico, from Germany, colleagues from Italy also stayed. There are even colleagues from South Korea and Japan, and this is our treasure, I would say, because in this way we can share experience.
Tell us about the laureates themselves. Like, how is the invitation formed for these people? And were there any laureates among the summit participants from the BRICS, like Brazil, Russia? Well, you've already said that there were, but a little more detail if possible.
Yes, of course. We send an invitation to all Nobel Peace Laureates. But not all are able to come to the summit. But a very large group of Nobel Peace Laureates come and support the summit over many years. Well, as far as Brazil is concerned, for instance, unfortunately, there are no Nobel Peace Laureates there. Unfortunately for us, but we still cooperate with various universities, and through them, all supports of contacts are being built. Contacts have been lined up in Brazil, and for instance, a delegation from Brazil came to Mexico. As for South Africa, we cooperate with the Nelson Mandela Foundation, with the Archbishop Tutu Foundation, and with the foundation of the former President of South Africa, de Klerk. As for India, we are working with Kailash Satyarthi, of course, the Nobel Peace Laureate. So basically, that's the coverage.
Are there any countries you have not covered but would love to be there with your summit?
Со своим саммитом.
Да.
Yes, we would love to go to Brazil and India as well. Lately, a lot of universities in India have been interested in participating with us. And we would really like to have a summit in Brazil, in India. If there is such an initiative, we would certainly support it.
Tell us a little about the next summit, when it is planned, what is planned, and who will be there.
The next one is planned for this December in South Korea, in the province of Gangwon. This is a province that has been divided between North Korea and South Korea. This province hosted the Olympics in 2018. So they have all the organizational power that can be just right for the summit. We are planning an event with a focus on issues of again peace in the broad sense of the word. We always say to the organizers that this is also a unique opportunity for the community, for students to talk to Nobel Peace Laureates, to talk to business community, the scientific community which is present at the summit, to gain experience, knowledge, advice, as well as to create socially oriented projects. This is a focus that we also support in the activities for our partners. For example, in Mexico, after the summit, several universities supported the initiative to integrate the Mayan community. It is the indigenous people of the state of Yucatan who, unfortunately, it so happened that they do not always have access to education, to some social structures. They don't know how to write an application or get a free Spanish language course. For instance, universities come together after the summit and helped integrate several Mayan communities into the social system. We hope there will also be some initiatives in Korea to help the different communities.
What other meetings and activities is your organization doing besides the official summit?
Our main focus is hosting summits. However, if there is interest in holding a thematic forum and not a full-length summit, we are also ready to accept the idea and work it out with the host party. But so far, the interest is in the summit itself. We of course hold small conferences with partnered universities, but they mostly invite us. Sometimes we organize lectures by various professors among our partners.
What international celebrities and people come to the summit?
Of course, the Nobel laureates themselves are famous personalities. We also give awards for contributions to humanitarian projects aimed at solving social problems to famous actors-singers. And we had Peter Gabriel, Don Cheadle, George Clooney, Bono come to the summit. We also had Sean Penn, who received the award. We had Sharon Stone receive it. Amy Lennox 2 years ago at the last summit. Ricky Martin got an award. He also gave a free concert. Free in terms of that fact that he understood it was a social initiative and it was his contribution in turn. Yes, we have actors, singers coming to us who in turn receive an award. This award was actually created to inspire other famous people to support socially oriented projects and initiatives.
Wasn't there any idea to bring together Nobel laureates from other fields for similar summits?
Yes, it would be a good idea. However, it takes so much time to organize already existing Nobel Peace Laureates. It requires a lot of effort, a lot of work. One summit takes several months to prepare, and we have not dared to invite them yet. Although perhaps in the future we will send single invitations to laureates of other categories as well.
How often do summits take place annually?
We strive to hold them annually, but each summit is unique. We have, of course, certain standards for holding summits, and we don't rush to hold one every year if there are no conditions for it. For example, some summits have been postponed by 6 months in order to make quality preparations, but for the most part, we hold them every year.
Share your plans for the upcoming Laureate Summit.
Саммиты лауреатов.
In this case, as various restrictions are already being lifted, we are looking at different countries. We are very hopeful that we will still have the opportunity to return to Latin America, perhaps even Brazil. We will, of course, look at whether there is interest in holding a summit there. There are also plans to go to India, as there are partner universities. And there are, of course, many tasks related to socially oriented issues. And we will be glad if our participants and our partners from all over the world can help with knowledge and experience. Well, our plans are usually to come to places where our platform will be useful. Well, mainly, as I said, it's regional. Of course, the focus is on regions. And I would also like to add about the format of the summits. It's a platform, in fact, it can be compared to a business forum where people, different communities, business politicians, and academic circles gather. And on this platform, different types of cooperation, knowledge, and information exchange takes place. And for us, it's important that it's human communication. First of all, without any templates. And for us, these are the most important criteria when we are looking for a partner for future summits. In fact, this is a creative laboratory for which we as an organization won't set any obstacles or conditions. Because it is a platform. It is always neutral, outside of region, politics, whether prejudice. It is enough for us that we receive occasional letters about how the world is perceived after the summit, not for 180 degrees, but 360.
Ekaterina, I can see how you're supporting the summit, how you are literally living this organization. What would you wish for the summit from yourself?
I would wish that the summit could contribute to the evolution of the consciousness, human consciousness, with a vector of development, with a vector for the preservation of life on the planet. Life, both human and all life on earth. I would also wish that as many initiatives and summits as possible would be born to preserve life, to develop it. And I would also wish that people would emerge in a creative capacity, perhaps through the summits and those participants who come there. I would like to quote Confucius. There is experience, you can go the way of reflection. It is the noblest way, and you can walk the path of repetition. That's the easiest way. You can walk the path of experience. That's the hardest, saddest way. We try to inspire a community of people to walk the path of reflection. But reflection, again, as Confucius said, without learning, it is nothing. And vice versa. So we are happy that our platform helps and hopefully will help with reflection and learning.
Thank you very much, Ekaterina. From my part, I wish you as many followers as possible to make it known to as many people as possible. Prosperity and expansion from your platform. Thank you.